What's up, you guys? It's your boy Miguel here to give you your daily dose of radiation. In today's video, we are covering why X-ray school is like so mentally draining. So to give you context, I am a night shift X-ray tech, been doing it for over 4 years. And over the years, now looking back at it, it was very mentally draining, like school. Now, depending on who you ask, you will have various answers from people who are very smart who go through the program, like my manager. School wasn't that hard. Someone like me who decided to have 2 kids back to back during the program, as you can see, little car seats in the back. And if you're like me, a C degree student who struggles, not the smartest, not like the Sheldon people of the world, or my lady who has photographic memory, and it takes you a little bit longer to learn, and I just recently found out I'm dyslexic, so that apparently throws something into the wrench, which I guess now I could say you can technically do pass the program even if you have dyslexia. So that's something which makes sense now why I struggled to read the book a little bit harder than other people. But anyways, a lot of the time it all kind of depended on the program as far as like the pacing, because now there's a bunch of places that are transitioning to the 8-week program, to like as far as like 8-week classes instead of the traditional 16, because they said that it overall people who did the 8-week versus the 16-week would technically there was a higher success rate or higher passing rate. I don't know what the stats exactly were, but anyways, that is how our program at our college, mine that I went to, is now paced at, which I feel that all the students I've talked to, all of them seem even more stressed than I was when we were in the traditional 16 weeks. If you're still in college, or if you don't know, if you're not involved yet in the medical, like science classes and all that, it's completely different versus other degrees. I had a cousin who became an accountant, and he told me that he could take his classes as many as he wanted or as little as he wanted. It would just increase the time to get his degree, versus how our program is. You have set amount of classes, and if you fail one, you begin at the beginning, and you only have so many chances before they boot you out and you got to go be a nurse or you got to do something else. So it's a little bit different, I would say. So for me personally, the hardest thing was finding my rhythm in the program, and it took, I think, the first exam, and I remember it is very, very challenging for some people, because you're used to the regular colleges, like the regular school class, and then you jump into the actual medical, like the actual medical classes, and it is a whole different ballgame for most people. The pacing, the workload, the clinicals. Usually you just start off with class and then they throw clinicals. Some places they do it a little bit different, but like all that and whatever you got going outside of life, or if you have to work, or if you got to be a mom or a dad or still work, or whatever you have to do, it all just like stacks and compounds. And I remember I was on ungodly amount of caffeine towards the end of the program. I think I was pushing 1,200 milligrams, which I know that's not safe. I was like tweaking and like head bobbing and stuff, and it all just like, it's a lot, but it is worth it. I feel like it, because like even I think the first class when we had to open up the Bontrager, some people use the Bontrager, some use, I think it's like the Mobley, something like that. And apparently, from what I remember, the first chapter is 100 pages of just like the basic foundation of Xray. And I remember reading it, and I would go home like at 4, between like getting ready for school, winding down, getting stuff situated. It'd be like 6 p.m. by the time I would actually sit down and focus on school stuff. And from like 6 to 12, I'd be, taking like, and then I would remember looking back and I'm like, I didn't even put a dent in on like all the notes and all the work. Like, and I did that for like a few weeks. And then I was like, something got to change. I got to do something different. And what happened was you just took caffeine and give up more sleep. And you would just stay up longer, stay up later. Other people wouldn't have to do that. It all kind of depends on your situation, but it is very, very draining on the body. And for some people, they work better under pressure. Good for you, I guess. Other people like me, where like they can teach you something in class, and if they quiz you right away, I'm probably going to fail because my brain hasn't processed, which in some classes they would do that. And I'm like, yo, professor, you're hoeing me, because like my brain, I can't regurgitate the stuff that fast. But they really don't care. It's just the way they set up their program. Or other times, I think the most stressful time for me was for like a good 3 months in one of the rounds of school. All the classes decided to stack their quizzes, their essays, their big exams, all the projects, and just like stack them all on top of each other and just cause a major clusterfuck of shit that you would just, it would feel like nonstop, like no breathing, no nothing, no chill. It was just back to back to back to back to back. Like it felt, it was very bad. Like I felt terrible. Like have you ever seen the Rick and Morty meme where they get in the car and they just like start crying? That's how I felt every single day. Like it was pretty bad. I mean, we were passing and we were making good grades, but it was like, at what price are you willing to pay? And I was just like, you know what, we're here. I think it was like the last 2 semesters when it felt like that, and we were just like, fuck it, let's just sacrifice a little bit more. Because you start off like up here, hopes and dreams, and then by the end it just chips away, and then you're just like coasting, and you just want a 75 and get over it. And it was very tolling on me. But then again, other people, you talk to the techs, and they're like, yeah, it wasn't that bad, a little hard or inconvenience, but to each their own, I suppose. Let's see, what else? I mean, now we have a lot more technology that can help make stuff more easier, like making flashcards, using AI, doing all this other stuff just to acquire the knowledge a little bit more easier, or make summaries and because I know a lot of the times a lot of people are now cheating and stuff and doing other stuff with ChatGPT or the other AI stuff. Which, nothing wrong against using all the resources, because back in my day, we would just use Quizlet. You'd be lucky to find a Quizlet that had the answers for some quizzes or like summaries or good. That'd be about the best we would do. But nowadays, I could see that both as like a hindrance and an improvement, because like, if you cheat your way through it, by the time you're sitting for boards, if you don't know your stuff, it's gonna come back and bite you in the butt. Because yes, technically speaking, majority of the information you learn in school, you don't use it for your job, which is the most devastating aspect of our career versus like nursing and other people. So there's that side. Because I've seen a lot of people where they go through the program, and now we ask them questions and stuff. Or even I have my little brother who's going through school, and he's telling me all the stuff he does and how he's doing it. And I'm like, well, that's good, bro. You're doing a good job. But like, just remember, when you sit for boards or when you're taking those tests in the actual school and stuff, like, you ain't got none of the cheat codes to help you. So I could see how like people would be do good at all the quiz grades and daily grades, and then you come and you sit there for the exam, which is worth a lot of points, and like you make a 50 or 40, and then it's like any major exam, if you fail by a little bit, there's hope. But in certain classes, depending how heavy that exam grade is, 1 to 2 failing, it is hard to make a comeback in some of those classes. Or even final exams. Some of those I remember were like the final and the project were like worth 60 or 70% of the whole thing. So like it was very devastating. Like there was a few classes, I think physics, and then there was, I think, pathology, or I forgot what other one was, another big one that they would have higher like grade structures and stuff like that. And if you don't know, if you're new to the school, the medical school, we have higher grade standards than the other classes. In clinicals, it's even higher. As far as to get A or B or C or whatever, is higher than just a 70. You need a 75. In some places I've seen where it's even higher. So that all just adds up to more stuff, which now I think in my school, they're letting you take some of the classes before you actually get in the program. Certain classes, I guess it was like, I think physics, or I forgot which other, one of the hard ones that would just destroy people. Just fucking, they're making them take them before they get into the program, because some of those, they were just notorious for wiping out classes. So they're like, I guess now if you do well on that one, then you should be coasting kind of during the program. Or it was kind of like, you could, I don't know how to explain it, but it'd be better case. So the school would ultimately have more success. It would look like, more passing rate and stuff like that. But that's all I got for you on that. I mean, I've been out of school for a while, but I'm just speaking from someone who was always struggling in school. But, here I am, Team 75. And if you are curious, I did indeed make a 75 on the dot on my board, because I took it so late. It was like 6 months out of school because of COVID and other stuff going on. So technically speaking, I am C's good degrees type of person. But at school, I did pretty well. I think it was like a B. It was like the average. But if you're new to the channel, you can check it out. I post on every aspect of this beautiful field of radiology. And if you want some memes, you can check the link below. I have the TikToks where I post all the radiology memes. And we'll see you on the next one. Is this one? What? No. How about this one?